So are civilians still dying from long ago wars?
Yes, it's happening daily.
So Sean, who have we got on parade today?
Taff, I'm really excited. We're nipping down to East Africa. We're going to visit a good friend of mine. He's gone from the battlefields to the minefields. Craig, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing very well, John. How you doing, mate?
I'm all right, kid. We go back a long way, don't we? I still remember the days when you left the military. You picked up a water rate spill and you said, Jono, what's this? Is this a joke? Do we have to pay for water?
Seriously, I didn't think you paid for water. Water's free, it rains. Yeah, how you think?
Craig thinks it collects in a bucket on a roof.
Well, in Africa, we actually do that.
You're working for the Norwegian's People's Aid.
That's correct, here in East Africa.
They claim to have cleared since 1992 2 million mines. They've covered 1 billion square metres in 40 countries. Wow.
I'm full of admiration for you, Craig. What's the motivation behind doing this dangerous job?
Well, for me, I can say it was a very confusing time coming out of the army. I just didn't feel I fitted. Here, I feel I fit. I'm working with people with the same mind of thinking. We understand each other. It's not complicated. It's like hang up the gun, take out the flower, sort of. Norwegian People's Aid is a huge organisation, John. Been involved in mine action, I believe, since the 90s. As a humanitarian organisation, it was set up during the Second World War. And it was founded by the labour movement in Norway. Since then, NPA has got numerous activities in 30 countries across the world.
How did you get fixed up with a Norwegian charity clearing mines in war-torn countries?
When I was in the military, I was arms explosive search dog handler, and I did that for about 3 years. And I came out and I worked in London for a period of time, for about 4 years, with Jono. But I got a phone call from an old army mate. He was doing this mine dog detection in Somaliland. Took the chance, went for it, and I ended up doing the dogs. I just moved on from there. 20 years next year, I've been doing this work. I mean, I remember as a dog handler in a place called Dubato in Somaliland. We were clearing this 90,000 square metres of land by manual prodding and dogs. It took us 3 years, yeah. We're in Cambodia, we're in Laos, we're in Thailand, we're in Myanmar. If you look at Laos, for example, it's one of the most contaminated countries in the world from the results of the Vietnam War. Interestingly, NPA just cleared Hamburger Hill. And if you remember the movie, so we were responsible for clearing that. Cluster munitions is the big problem in Vietnam. Really interesting work. Amazing people to work with. The Vietnamese are fantastic. And I worked in places like Lebanon, for example. It's a beautiful country. You wouldn't think there was a war there. And again, a very contaminated country. It's probably one of the most contaminated countries in the world as well, due to the civil war, and then followed on by the July war with Israel, where they pretty much carpet bombed South Lebanon with cluster bombs. You know, they just emptied their whole arsenal on South Lebanon, and that's what we are to this day clearing.
So what's the difference between the munitions they were carpeting in Vietnam and the ones you're coming across in East Africa?
In East Africa, it's a bit different. We're dealing with pretty much Cold War Russian stuff and some old British stuff as well. We're dealing with minefields mainly in East Africa compared to cluster munitions. Every program you go to, Taff, is different. And your approach is always going to be different. We've got the toolbox, so you go to a country, you'll do an assessment, and then you work out what you need from that toolbox to support this country, remove explosive ordnance from their grounds.
So are civilians still dying from long ago wars?
Yes.
You've been in a lot of countries now, and these civilians are living with mines. They've had kids who've been maimed or killed.
And they're going through this transition of, coming out of war, and difficult for them to understand at the time as well. I think I recognised that when I was there. We're opening access to water, access to roads, agricultural areas that could not work in before. That's livelihoods we're talking about, Taff. They understand this and they realise this. We maybe not have it perfect, but we're trying our best to help them.
Do you recruit locally, internationally? How's it done, Matt?
We employ people locally. We train them to be deminers. We train them to be medics. We can train them also in the programme side, where we train them to do finance, logistics, administration. So they can then deal with this issue by themselves without our help or with minimal help from the international community. The main people who work in, individuals that work in this business would be British, Scandinavians, South African, and people from the Balkans. In the field, there's more military, ex-military people. Just a natural thing because you're dealing with explosive ordnance and that expertise came from the military.
You talked about a Lebanese girl, lost her sight, didn't she?
Naila, she was one of my deminers and she got promoted to team leader. Sadly, last year, something went wrong and she detonated a number 4 Israeli anti-personnel mine. And she got really, really serious injuries, life-changing injuries, blinded. Yeah, very sad, John.
What motivates these young girls to do that hazardous training with NPA to clear the mine?
Culturally, sometimes not acceptable for a woman to do the work we're doing. And I think they're making statements, Taff. I can do this, and you know, I'm a woman. Just because I'm a woman doesn't mean I cannot do this job, and it's rightly so. They do bring an added value to our work, without a doubt, Taff.
You still travel through these dangerous countries, mate. There are still hostage situations around the world. You're still a target, buddy.
So it does happen, and in East Africa, you go to Somalia, for example. You have the pirates there. We've had NGOs kidnapped there. As long as we try and do a proper risk analysis of where we're working and just follow the rules that we make ourselves. We know we can't go here, there's going to be a danger, just don't do it. We do everything we can to ensure we don't put ourselves into that situation.
I get the feeling, Craig, that you find this new role from a British soldier to a humanitarian organisation really rewarding and fulfilling, is it?
It is, Taff, you know, it is rewarding. You know, Sean knows as well, when we came out of the army, we're in a dead-end job doing security work. I knew it was not my path. That's the best way I can explain it. But I'm doing a job I like doing. So, yeah.
This is what the guys are doing. They're going back to where the boots on the ground used to be, and they're clearing up the mess, mate. And you can't buy that. You know what I mean?
No, you can't.
Craig, you have been an absolute star, brother. Taff and I are going to pull all the stops out and come down and see you, brother. So God bless you, mate. Keep safe and just keep doing the fantastic stuff you're doing, buddy.
Well, I want to say you two keep up your good work as well. What you're doing is admirable. Hats off, gents.